The USS Harry S. Truman, flanked by destroyers and cruisers, was deep in the Red Sea, a floating fortress guarding vital waters off the Yemeni coast. For days, operations ran smooth, routine sorties, radar sweeps, calm seas. But far beyond the horizon, the enemy had been watching, waiting. And when the moment came, they struck hard. What followed wasn't just defense, it was retaliation. Swift, overwhelming, and unmistakably American. April 2025. Calm seas, clear skies. The USS Harry S. Truman, a Nimitz-Class aircraft carrier, silently cuts through the waters of the Red Sea. To the untrained eye, it was just another routine patrol. But this was not a solo mission. Truman was supported by a full carrier strike group, positioned to monitor vital shipping lanes and screen for hostile activity near the coast of Yemen. High above, the FA-18 Hornet maintained a steady observation, its flight path closely coordinated and disciplined. Below deck, the sailors performed their duties with absolute precision. But little did they know that the silence would soon be broken. At 6:17, the silence was broken. Alarms sounded throughout the ship. The radar system lit up immediately. Multiple unidentified targets moving fast, flying low. There is no hesitation. In a moment, the battle stations were mobilized. Over the intercom, a sharp message cut in. Missiles inbound. Possible drone. Multiple directions. This is not a training scenario. USS Harry S. Truman is now in a real combat situation. From the direction of the Yemeni coast, enemy fire is coming. A coordinated barrage of artillery fire, cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, and at least one drone closed on the strike group. They fly in tight, precisely calculated formations to overwhelm defense systems. A saturation attack designed to break through fortified defenses. But this is not an easy goal. This is no old patrol boat. This is a Nimitz-Class aircraft carrier, battle-proven, fully armed, and ready to respond. Just a few days ago, U.S. strategic aircraft carried out an airstrike, destroying a site believed to be a weapons manufacturing facility located near the capital Sana'a. The strike was not simply a preemptive strike, it was a warning. The Houthis, however, do not simply want to respond with firepower, they want more. They are hungry to make a media splash. Houthi hit U.S. aircraft carrier. A statement that is enough to stir global public opinion, ignite internal support, and demonstrate a spirit of defiance in confronting a military power. The timing of the attack was no coincidence. According to intelligence reports, the incident coincided with a routine rotation of the Truman's air wing, a time when many of the aircraft were being serviced and most of the pilots were off duty. In other words, the Houthis chose the moment when the enemy's combat capabilities were at their weakest. A well-timed, carefully calculated strike at a time when the defense system could hardly react as quickly as usual. Truman was not their only target. The enemy cast a wider net, attacking the entire formation. A Ticonderoga-class cruiser and two Arleigh Burke-class destroyers were in the line of fire. Based on available intelligence, a supply tanker and a fuel and supply ship, also in the crosshairs, the strategy behind the attack was asymmetric warfare. Saturate the battle space, launch a massive number of threats from multiple directions, disrupt the defense grid, create chaos, and in that chaos, let a missile or two slip through the cracks. This is the principle used to bring down giants, not by striking precisely once, but by unleashing thousands of slashes at once. But there's a flaw in that logic, because the giant Truman doesn't come empty-handed. He carries firepower, and he was born to fight back. The USS Harry S. Truman never operates alone. It is the nucleus of a full carrier strike group, a floating fortress surrounded by warships, each armed to the teeth. Each escort carries a full complement of missiles. The sensors and radar systems are fully integrated, forming a seamless shield against air threats. The entire formation operates according to a protocol grounded in decades of combat experience at sea. And then, they came. Missiles, cutting through the sky like fangs, aimed for the kill. But the Navy did not sleep. They saw it coming. They locked on. They moved to counterattack. There's a reason no one dares touch a U.S. carrier strike group. As soon as the first hostile signal appeared on radar, the USS Harry S. Truman shifted immediately. One breath was normal. The next, It was war. Under 60 seconds. That's all it takes to flip the switch. The bridge becomes a battlefield command post. The radios kept giving quick commands, crisp, clear, without hesitation. Electronic warfare officers jam radio waves, causing enemy navigation systems to jam and jam. Every sailor, every crew member acted like clockwork. No panic, no delay. They've been trained for this, over and over again. And now, it's happening. Aegis Combat System tracking. Before human eyes could track, the cruisers locked on. Flight path 231, confirmed hostile. Speed, 600 knots, low altitude, fast, dangerous. Aegis doesn't flinch, it doesn't blink, it calculates, it prioritizes, and then it attacks. As new data is brought in, defenses are deployed in perfect sequence. Like falling dominoes, each layer activated with deadly precision. From the destroyer deck, SM-2 missiles roar into the sky, pursuing threats from above, aiming for their targets with deadly intent. For low-flying aircraft, those that skim the waves, hoping to stay under radar, ESSM has been flying overhead, hunting fast, low-flying prey. And what about anything that gets past the outer walls? CRAM is waiting. CIWS is ready. Those buzzing mechanical monsters, Gatling guns spinning, whistling, aimed like predators. If something comes close, it won't come any closer. From the cockpit, chaos but control. Chaos alert! 5 wasps now! Catapults roared. Steam sprayed into the morning air. The squadron moved with practiced precision, launching fully armed FA-18 Super Hornets into the sky. One by one, the metallic clang echoing like thunder from the deck. But these were no routine patrols. These were bird kills. Each jet is fully equipped. AIM-120 AMRAAM, AIM-9 X Sidewinder. Auxiliary tanks suspended under the wings, ready to deploy CAP. Combat air patrol deep into the kill zone. In just a few minutes, they were circling above the Truman, eyes scanning, sensors scanning, covering gaps that radar couldn't see. The threat from drones is rapidly ending. Inside the CIC, red lights flashed on the control panel. Operators shouted coordinates, rerouted assets, and launched a second wave of attacks. A pilot stared at an object that was speeding towards the fleet, low, fast, and approaching. Fox 3. An AMRAAM missile shot out of the rails, tearing through the air like a scalpel. Seconds later, contact was made. The drone exploded in mid-air, breaking into charred pieces that rained down like shredded paper on the sea. On the flight deck, red-shirted weapons crews moved with precision, reassembling launch rails in a rhythm built from repetition and instinct, as if steel were part of their DNA. The air was thick with the smell of jet fuel and scorched metal, drowned out only by the roar of afterburners and the sharp, clear commands echoing across the deck. Despite the noise and the urgency, the USS Truman stood firm, unwavering, unmoved. The crew had witnessed this scene countless times during endless drills. They had trained for this situation under pressure, in the dark, with sweat pouring from their eyes, and seconds counted. Not just occasionally, but consistently, weekly, monthly, no compromise. Because in a real attack, there is no time to stop, no room to figure out how to deal with it. You have to react. And on that day, they did exactly that. By the time the first Houthi missile appeared on the horizon, the USS Truman's escorts had already launched multiple layers of response. Let's take a closer look at the defensive barrier that lies between the aircraft carrier and the battleship. At the heart of it all is the Aegis Combat System, the heart of the Navy's power command. Aegis is more than just a sensor. It is the brain of the battlefield. Capable of tracking hundreds of threats simultaneously, it forms the backbone of the fleet's layered air defense system. Rotating radar arrays scan in all directions, constantly looking for signs, missiles, drones, anything moving fast, low, and dangerous. Once the danger is verified, Aegis will act without hesitation. What was their first reaction? SM-2 interceptor missiles. A medium-range, radar-guided, heat-targeting surface-to-air missile designed to neutralize airborne threats at lightning speed. Traveling at Mach 3, these missiles not only intercept, but also destroy targets. During the attack, multiple SM-2 missiles were launched, destroying incoming ballistic missiles before they could impact. The second line of defense ESSM operates. The Evolved Sea Sparrow Missile System. ESSM is designed to increase speed and counter threats at closer ranges, especially low-flying, fast-flying cruise missiles over water. These interceptors are deployed in pairs, each using a radar guidance system to track and accurately engage an incoming target. During the fighting, several missiles launched by the Houthis were neutralized en route, just 20 meters away from the carrier strike group. Third line of defense? Brutal. Precise. The Phalanx CIWS Close-In Weapon System, or CIWS. When all else fails, this is the ultimate annihilation. If a threat gets past the interceptors, CIWS doesn't have to think, it reacts. Equipped with a 20mm Vulcan rotary cannon, the gun can fire up to 75 rounds per second. No, that's not a typo. 75 rounds per second. The result? A wall of bullets, designed to tear apart anything that dares to come near. Its aiming system is so advanced that it can track a bullet in flight. A drone whizzed by, rapidly approaching, less than 1,000 yards away. Big mistake. CIWS didn't hesitate. It lit up like lightning, blinding muzzle flashes, the deafening roar of 1,000 rounds per minute. In just a few seconds, the sky turned into a wall of lead. The drone never stood a chance. It was torn apart in midair, ripped apart like a piece of paper in a hurricane. What used to be high-tech weapon? Now all that remained was burning debris, fluttering into the sea like shattered metal leaves. Above the fleet, FA-18 Super Hornets maintain combat air patrols. Their mission is to control the skies and engage if needed. Each aircraft carries a full complement of AEM-120 AMRAAM missiles, radar-guided missiles capable of attacking targets beyond visual range with pinpoint accuracy. Any drone that moves off course, hesitates, is eliminated immediately. Defense is more than just a barrier. It is a network of interconnected, layered, and fully interlocking combat networks. The Houthi attack was bold, but bold does not mean effective. And with this level of coordination, the Houthis did almost no damage. Within 5 minutes, the attack was over. The intention was to send a message to cripple an aircraft carrier and shake the confidence of the US Navy. But it failed. Each layer reacts. Each system performs its task. The threat was resolved. From the sky to the sea, the fleet held the line. 18 targets on radar. All units ready. Sirens wailed. The CIC burned. Red dots swarmed across the screen like swarms of killer bees. But Truman was not alone, and not helpless. 9 missiles were destroyed in midair. SM-2s were launched from destroyers, ESSMS from vertical launchers. Interceptors locked on, shooting down each one. Some exploded high in the sky, glowing like death fireworks at 30,000 feet. Others broke apart just feet above the sea, so close that water splashed onto the decks. 3 UAVs attempt to approach. They turned sharply, circling as if looking for a blind spot. But CIWS gave them no chance. Phalanx swiveled its guns, roaring. Strings of 20mm bullets tear apart targets before they can even switch to attack mode. But that's not all. A warning sounded. Low object. Radar signal lost. A cruise missile skimmed the water, very low, very fast. It disappeared from radar screens in a few precious seconds. A heavy silence fell over CIC. No one dared to breathe loudly. Then the system caught it. The order to fire was immediate. There was no room for error. It did not anticipate the CRAM system on the escort destroyer. As soon as the warhead cleared the horizon, the CRAM fired. A short-range interceptor rocketed out of the launcher, screaming through the air, and hit its target. The threat was torn into hundreds of pieces, raining down metal into the sea. From the cockpit of an FA-18, the scene appears like a science fiction movie. Continuous flashes of light, consecutive explosions in the air, like an invisible wall of fire blocking the battleship. No bullets got through. No explosions hit the target. There was only the sound of gunfire from the defense system operating at full blast. Cold, precise, perfect, like a pre-programmed war machine. The gunfire stopped. The deck froze. The sailors stood still, eyes scanning for threats. Adrenaline spiked. Smoke hung low. Spent shell casings rattled on steel. A lone cheer broke the silence. Then came the order. Sweep the deck. secure all weapons, record any information obtained. The Truman was not only saved, but also intact. In CIC, the command team reviewed real-time radar feeds, confirmed intercepts, tracked and cross-checked launch points. Then came the words that changed everything. All targets neutralized. Protect the carrier. Not just a report. It marks a shift from defense to offense. Give us a like if you think the Truman's defense system is awesome. The Houthis thought they had struck a blow. But the only thing the Houthis really achieved was exposing themselves. The launch point, the timing of the attack, the launchers used, all of which were gathered by the Navy in a moment. And the United States is not sending a message. They are sending nuclear warheads. In Washington, there were no statements, no press conferences, just silence. Meanwhile, deep inside Truman, the crew moved. Cargo was loaded, jets were armed, target data was entered. This doesn't end with defense, it's just beginning. No warning, just smoke rising over Yemen. Because punishment is not gentle, it is strong and unhesitating. Within 45 minutes of shooting down the last Houthi missile, the Echo package was approved. An attack plan was built for this scenario. Below deck, Truman went into combat mode. The hangar became a live fire assembly line. Weapons crews equipped FA-18 Super Hornet aircraft with GBU-38 JDA-M bombs, 500-pound GPS-guided smart bombs. This mission has no room for error. There is no room for redo. On top, 2 EA-18G Growlers were in launch position. Their electronic warfare pods were already firing, emitting a powerful buzz. Their role, to block enemy vision, jam radars, disrupt targeting systems, forcing the Houthis to operate blindly. At 7:35, the first aircraft was launched. An E-2D Hawkeye took off, the fleet's airborne command center, tasked with coordinating the battle. Then 12 Super Hornets, loaded with missiles, launched in succession. Their afterburners lit up the sky with orange flames. Their goal was clear: to precisely eliminate missile launch sites targeting the carrier group. Truman was not alone in this fight. 20 miles to the east, the USS Gravely was in position, waiting. Silently, its VLS hatches opened, one by one. Inside, Tomahawk cruise missiles were armed and ready, each loaded with precise GPS coordinates. No noise, no delay, just the roar of fire. Missiles tore through the sky, fast, low, and deadly. They weren't meant to send a message. They were meant to be annihilated. Moments later, the first wave arrived. A mobile SAM site near Al-Hudaydah, the site that had struck Truman hours earlier, lit up in an instant. A JDAM hit squarely, causing the entire platform to fold inward like crumpled metal. Another threat eliminated before it could strike again. The next target has been identified: a drone warehouse believed to be hidden inside a civilian industrial park. The Growlers moved in first, jamming every frequency within a 5-mile radius. Silence fell over the enemy communications. Seconds later, the Super Hornets came in at low speed. Fast, unseen. They dropped bombs with pinpoint accuracy. Fuel, ammunition, electronics, all ignited at once. Fireballs erupted everywhere. But that was just the prelude. The real target was still ahead. A fortified command and control bunker, buried deep south of Ras Isa. Hidden, fortified, heavily defended. No matter, a Tomahawk locked on, dived in, and obliterated it. The explosion was so powerful that seismic sensors on the Truman detected it from 60 miles away. Mission accomplished. No American casualties. All aircraft returned safely. The message was delivered. The Houthis wanted attention. The United States responded with precision and firepower. Within hours, the skies over Yemen were quiet. Too quiet. By sunrise, the battlefield was gone. No missile trails, no radar, no visible signs of combat. Just silence. And what it left behind: 3 burned-out launch sites, a flattened command bunker, and a drone base reduced to rubble. But silence isn't peace, it's pressure. The kind of pressure that builds before the next move. This time, the Houthis said nothing. No scathing statement, no propaganda videos. Just a vague line from a state-affiliated channel claiming the US had struck uninhabited structures. Even Iranian media, usually quick to praise the Houthis' actions, was silent. No footage, no wreckage, just silence and stillness. But beneath the silence, the truth was slowly emerging. The intercepts painted a clearer picture. Orders were diverted, units were thrown into darkness. Vital links in their chain of command suddenly ceased to function. The United States not only attacks targets, but also disrupts networks. And in Washington? Still no press conference, no podium, no speech, just a cold, familiar line from the Pentagon. We are monitoring the situation. What matters most is what happened next aboard the Truman and its escorts. By midday, air operations were back online. Combat air patrols doubled, spread out, stayed longer. E-2D Hawkeyes took to the skies in rotating shifts, maintaining a constant radar sweep of the Yemeni coast. Then came the real change, a change in the rules of engagement. According to later reports, any radar signal that even resembled a fire control lock was now a valid target. No more waiting for the enemy to fire first. The new rule is clear: launch on detection. Now, if identified, it burns. While tensions simmered, the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower rejoined the Truman Strike Group. The two carriers now sailed together, supported by destroyers, cruisers, and attack submarines. A mobile fortress built for counterattack. Commercial traffic through the Bab el-Mandeb Strait has resumed. Cargo ships move cautiously, but this time they are not alone. Beyond the horizon, an invisible guardian follows. The Houthis launched a showy attack to gain attention, but it turned into something much more serious, a clear demonstration of America's strength and resolve. The Houthis tried to send a message. They responded with a missile, without warning, and took it all out. The USS Harry S. Truman never took a hit, but it fired back with one of the most precise and coordinated naval counterattacks in recent memory. There was no media bluster, no complacency, just steel, speed, and a message delivered with unmistakable clarity. Now the Red Sea is quiet, too quiet. And the question remains, for how long? Because what happened was more than just another skirmish. It marked a change in the rules of engagement, in readiness. The U.S. Navy made its position clear. This was no longer a defensive posture. From now on, any drone launch, any radar signal, any attempt to probe the border could trigger a full-scale war. So now we ask you, should the United States continue to take exacting retaliatory measures? Or is it time to escalate and eliminate the threat altogether? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like if you learned something, subscribe for more event-based analysis, and turn on the notification bell, because what's coming next could change everything.